And we are live. Hello, everybody. We are so glad to be back with you. Leona, what do you think?
Woo, woo. It has been a ride. Oh my goodness, but a good one. I
Yeah,
tell
it's been a week. It's been a
you.
week, and it's actually been one full week since we did launched our content challenge, that we
Mhm.
kicked that off. So let me just go ahead and say good evening, homemakers. Tonight, we're going to be checking in on how you guys are doing with our $10 grocery haul challenge. That May challenge. We're
Mhm.
going to see how you guys are doing and whether or not you set the $10 budget, a $25 budget, a $50 budget, or whatever you decided, whatever parameter you set for your family. We
Mhm.
want to know how things are going with you, and we'll be asking you what you said and how it worked out. And then maybe we can find out a few surprises from ourselves or the others along the way. So, one of the things I'm going to ask is what has been the hardest part of the challenge so far? And I'm going to ask you guys to type in the chat what's been the hardest part of the challenge for you so far, either finding deals, maybe figuring out meals, or maybe just sticking to the budget, sticking to the limit you set for yourself. What's been the hardest part for you so far? We would love to hear it. And Leona, I'm going to ask you to start. What's been the hardest part for you so far? And then once we talk about that, I'll say hello.
Well, you know what? The hardest part is not being able to hit that go button when I go to the grocery store, I go to Kroger, I go to Food Lion or Publix or wherever it is. Normally I do a lot of shopping online.
Mhm.
And so when I start to think about a meal, rather than rather than going to the pantry, I would automatically think, oh, let me go on my app and start, tit 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 tit, whatever. And then it was like, oh, I can't do that. And I can't do that. And so it has made me very conscious of what I'm doing. I've had to slow down, and that's been the key, slowing down your choices and really being intentional about what you plan to do. I had to start with the pantry, give it an overhaul. My husband gave my refrigerator a overhaul.
Oh, well, you got to tell them about that because I thought that was funny.
Well, I had overhauled my refrigerator, and I thought it was perfect. He comes through and says, "I don't like that." And so he goes in and starts moving things and moving shelves and putting things wherever. But when he finished, it was like, "Oh, I didn't see it that way." And it worked.
Well,
So,
what I think is so interesting, number one, is how two people can see it very differently in the same space. And I'm thinking maybe it's that project manager background that he has that kind of he brought to bear on that. And the other thing is maybe the way you had it wasn't going to work for him. And that's the thing that I have learned is if it doesn't work for him, it doesn't work. Because if I got to go and every time he's like, babe, where's the this? Babe, where's the that? Babe, babe, babe. I'm like, if I got to go and get it every time he's looking for something, it's not working.
it's
So
not
I have
working.
to make it so that it's nice and easy for him to find. And I tell you, there's something that I've done recently. This is a little bit off topic, but
Mhm.
that I've done recently that just really seems to be working well was, I told you I got those little jars, those glass jars with the wooden lids because I had been
Yeah.
watching With Love Megan, and
Mhm.
I put them on the counter, and I have three of them, and I have pecans in one, craisins in one, and granola in a
Mhm.
third one.
Mhm.
He's been making his own nuts and berries in the morning now.
What?
Yes, he's been finding the Greek yogurt in the fridge, putting it in the bowl, cutting up his own fresh fruit, and he can just find the toppings. I'm like, oh, so this is working out
It's
nicely.
working.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, ladies and gents, if it's not working for them or him, it's not working. Because sometimes, with kidlets, you have to rethink things. But okay, so Leona, you said your hardest part of the challenge was, and I'm sorry I digress, but you know my mind. Sometimes if I don't say it then I can't remember it.
Yeah, the hardest part was just slowing down. And you really do have to kind of slow down because I'm kind of a fast rolling person and just get it done, a process person. And I had to slow down. I had to
Mhm.
slow down the process. And I've been so used to just going, buying. And now it's like, oops, the
Well,
skids are on.
yeah, exactly. So I think for me, the hardest part too was not saying, let's go out to dinner, or
Mhm,
can you go pick up thus and such. I'm used to, if I just wanted to grab something or
mhm,
pick up something, I could send him out for it. Or
mhm,
like today, I kind of lost track of my days and I thought, oh, I got the show to do and I haven't made dinner yet. And so my first thought was, oh, well, then I'll just ask him to go to KFC and pick up blah, blah, blah. And I'm
mhm,
like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So luckily, he'd been out fishing today. So he said, well, we've been snacking out on the boat all day. They'll take like boiled eggs and crackers and chips and
mhm.
sardines and,
Yeah,
all kind of yucky stuff like that. And then sometimes depending upon who's there, they might have grilled some stuff and they have all kinds of stuff. He said, I'm good. I'm not hungry. So I thought,
mhm,
okay, what can I cook for me real quick? So I just made a grilled cheese sandwich and had that with some cranberry sauce and water.
mhm,
So that was a quick dinner. But I so wanted to say, why don't you just run to KFC or why don't you go pick up a pizza? But I'm like, no,
mhm,
you're going to cook something tonight. And then the other day on Sunday, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday
mhm,
before, I was going to make a pot roast, which I did
mhm,
end up making it. But all of a sudden, I was like, you know what? I want to make something easier today. But I'd already taken the pot roast out.
mhm,
I already had looked at these three miserable looking potatoes that needed to be cooked. So that was what I did. So for me,
mhm,
the hardest part has been making myself look in the fridge, look in the pantry,
mhm.
and use what's there rather than say, let's eat out. So let me go ahead and greet people, and then we'll come down and we'll see what people have said their hardest thing has been so far.
Yes.
So Cynthia, she says good news. She hasn't been to the grocery store all week. Bad news. She forgot about the challenge and bought a snack at work on Tuesday.
Uh,
I don't think that counts. Do you?
no, no,
Oh,
no, no. I think she's good.
yeah, I think you're good. I think you're
Yeah.
good. Because, you haven't been to the grocery store to make meals at home.
Mhm.
We didn't even talk about people that work from home and they have to
That's
take
true.
lunches and things like that. So
Mhm.
they probably would need an additional budget. But I don't think buying a snack at work is off target. I think
Mm-mm.
that's exempt.
I think that's good.
Hey, Hazel,
Hey,
good to
Lisa.
have you here. And then we've got Bashua. So good evening, Bashua. And
Mhm.
then there's Nita B. So, and I saw something she said in the chat the other day, but I can't remember what it was now. All right, Darlene says she hasn't been to the grocery store yet. Boom.
Okay.
She set a $50 limit for herself because
Okay.
groceries are so high where she lives. Okay, so
Okay.
that's cool. Remember, we said you can set whatever parameters works for you.
Mhm.
Didn't we say
Mhm.
that?
Yes, that's true. I did too.
Okay. Oh, Jerry. Jerry, you know what? I was just thinking about you. Oh, I know why I
Aw.
was thinking about you because I was cleaning off this messy desk of mine and I came across a little note with a little cute little honeybee on it that
Aw.
you had sent me. And I was like, oh, and I was just kind of remembering you sent me that. And then here you pop up. So it's good to see you. And Bathsheba, oh, her biggest challenge was meal planning and or staying on a budget. Yeah, that has been a little tough too. But I got out those, when you had us do that meal planning exercise, and you
Mhm.
might want to share that again in a minute. I
Mhm.
did get out that notebook, and as a matter of fact, I have that book up. I was just right here. I got out that notebook that you had that I had gotten, and
Mm-hmm.
you had showed us how to make the meals like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got those out. I went through my plan and I just kind of pulled them forward. And it was really easy and really nice. And I
Mm-hmm.
even found myself adding a few new meals to that.
Yeah.
And you might want to just share real quick. Can you share that real quick?
I don't have it upstairs. I don't have it here in the office, but we will talk about that.
That's what
We
I
can
meant. Can
talk
you just
about
talk
that.
real quick or do you want to do
Yeah.
it later?
Well, whenever you say. Whenever you say. Go ahead.
Well, why don't you talk about it real quick since we're talking about
Okay,
it?
while Denise is there, you can see we used our Happy Planner for this, but we put on Post-it notes the various menus, and we started with those meals. I gave a few, and then start with those meals that are kind of your go-to meals all the time, and then add to that list. And what you do is that you just take those little, though, you put them on those little tabs, those little post-it tabs. I'm trying to see if I have some of those. Well, I have one right here. These little post-it tabs got.
Mm-hmm.
And once you write down whatever your meal is, just pop it onto your planner. Have a couple of pages in the back where you can just put the meals in. And then that way you put them in your planner where you think you're going to use them. And when you're finished with it, take it off, put it back in the back where the other meals are. So it starts to give you a collection of meals that you can use. Now, also, while we're here, you know that use it up tray that I
Yeah.
showed last week. Oh my, that was the best thing ever, because the cool thing was I haven't spent any money yet, but I used that use it up tray in addition to a few things out of the pantry, and I've been able to make meals. And it was funny. I made spaghetti the other night, and I used things that were in the refrigerator, and it turned out really good. And so the only thing I really had to go in the pantry for that was just the pasta, to take the pasta out. But it was nice to be able to put together a really good meal. And it's been a whole week. Here we are, an entire week, and I haven't spent a dime. I have not chopped a dime. So I am really excited about that. That use it up tray worked. And so I really do like that. Put them in, what you have to use. I had a half of a pepper, a half of the tomato, I had one onion, and I just started chopping and used those for multiple meals, and it worked out great. And what you find is that as you're cooking those different meals, you're going to have leftovers. So those leftovers, it's almost like the five loaves and the fish. You know,
Yes.
because you end up with more food left over to be able to use another night. That either you can add a little something to zhuzh it up and change the looks of it, change a little bit of the taste, and you're ready for another meal. And it's like, oh wow. So my use it up tray actually already has two meals sitting on it that I can use. And so that has worked out very well. So I love it. I love that.
Okay. Let's see what other people have to say about that. Because I think I jumped ahead, but DJ Whitmore is here.
Hi.
And then Lola says she's already spent over $30 for the first week. So she doesn't know if she can make it work. She has a birthday party to cook for this Sunday. You know what, Lola? You just do what works for you. And if it doesn't work for this week, then maybe next week you can set yourself a different goal
Mhm.
because, but tell us, what did you spend it on? I'm just kind of curious. If you already spent over $30 for the first week, what did you have to buy? I'm just
Mhm.
curious. And if it's too
Mhm.
much to share, that's okay. But I'm just kind of curious. Luckily, I haven't had to go to the store this week,
Mhm.
but I certainly did feel the urge. And so here's Darlene she went through her pantry again also. She found stuff that she needed to use. So most of
Mhm.
her meals are going to be using what she has, and she needs fresh fruit. So she's going to be going to the produce store on Friday. Okay.
That's great. That's
Mhm.
great.
And then Catherine says finding substitutes. Oh, yes, in
Mm,
her pantry for things she's run out of, as in cube butter instead of tub soft butter.
mhm.
When you get that in your pantry, now you say cube butter. I'm wondering what kind of butter is that? Is that like stick butter and it's just
I
kind of,
think the stick, probably the
yeah. So
stick.
that would I would think so. That's probably in your fridge, and you need to have something so that, well, if that's what you're talking about, maybe you could put that stick of butter, put it in a little dish,
Mhm.
and let it come to room temperature, and kind of use that as a soft spreadable butter.
Mhm.
Because we have been spoiled. It's like we gotta have soft spreadable butter these days.
Just in case we have some rolls or whatever it might be.
Mhm, mhm. So Hazel's been her menus, making her menus with just her pantry items. However,
Okay.
it's forced her to be, boom, forced her
Yay.
to be aware of what she had. All right,
Mhm.
I like that. And then again, I just want to make sure that we hear what Catherine said, but she's making substitutes in her pantry, finding substitutes in her pantry for things she's run out of.
Mhm.
So yeah, what did I look up yesterday? Oh, I was gonna make something. Well, I was gonna make this chicken and rice dish because I saw the chicken and rice dish you made the other day,
Uh-huh.
and I was gonna make that for dinner or something similar. Then I realized I didn't have time, so I ended up making a grilled cheese sandwich. But
Mhm.
it called for coconut milk so I could have this creamy base to it.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
I thought, well, I have one can of coconut milk, but what can I use in place of that? So I don't have to use my
Mhm.
one can.
Right.
And it said it gave me different ideas of what I could swap out. Like you
Mhm.
could use almond
Mhm.
milk, which I had, but
Mhm.
it said if you want a creaminess, almond milk's not going to do it, but carnation milk
Yeah.
will. So I'm like,
Yeah.
and I had plenty of that. So
Mhm.
but that's what I've been doing too, Catherine. I thought, okay, if I'm going to make this, what can I swap things out for?
Mhm.
And then we did Hazel. So Nita B said, so
Good.
far, no problems. Okay, good.
Okay.
You're on the right track. Ella said she hasn't been to the grocery store either. And
Yay.
I think if
All
nothing
right.
else, that's the biggest change is that we're using what's in our fridge. Like even if we
Mhm.
can only cut down on one grocery run a month, I wonder how
Mhm.
much money we can save. Because even if you go to the store for 3 things, how many times do you come home with like 10 things or more?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And now the prices are such that you can't get out of the grocery store under 50 to $75.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
and you're looking at it going, "What did I buy?"
Yeah, like what's in this bag?
Mhm.
So Ursula says she likes to spend Sunday afternoons preparing meals that can be reheated.
Mhm.
Baked ziti, eggplant
Mhm.
parm, and fried chicken cutlets. I like that
I
idea.
do too.
So that's a good way to use what you've got because if you're doing all this prep on Sunday, you're not going to be
Mhm.
running back and forth,
Nope.
and then you know what's in there.
Absolutely.
So now I'm
Absolutely.
interested in how do you prepare those for the refrigerator or the freezer, Ursula? Can you tell us that? Like, what do? You put it in freezer bags? You got some freezer containers. How do
Mhm.
you store it for the upcoming week? Inquiring minds want to know. We'll come
Yeah.
back and find
Yeah.
that. Oh, Darlene watched her great granddaughter and made pizza using sourdough bread that had marinara sauce, and I'm sure she did love it.
Aw.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good
That is
idea.
a good one because I tell you, my sister and my sister, two of my sisters, they were watching one of their granddaughters
Mhm.
last weekend, and they like for her lunch, they went out to
Mhm.
some new noodle place or somewhere like that
Uh-huh.
to buy her food. And
Mhm.
this particular grandchild, has somewhat well, I don't want to say she's a picky eater, but she doesn't eat a lot of. She's like today's kids.
Mhm.
There's,
Mhm.
she's like today's kids, and so, and this particular child's mother, they order DoorDash just about every night.
Yes. Yes.
So they're getting fast food. So
Mhm.
okay.
I know how that goes.
So there's Jerry sending me
Oh,
sunflowers. She knows I like
that's
those.
sweet.
Kim says she did go to the grocery store this week and she spent $50, but next week she will not go at all. Okay, Kim, that's
Okay.
cool. Remember,
Mhm.
you get to decide the parameters that work for your family. So let us know next week if you're able to go a week without going to the store.
Mhm.
Now, Leona, did you say you didn't go at all or you had to go once?
I did not go at all.
Okay, okay. And I didn't either. So
Mm-mm.
here's your baby Tam.
Hi, Tam.
Oh, so Sarah
Oh.
said, hubby went shopping on his way home from work. We'll try again next week. Listen, we just got to go with the flow. We just got to
That's
roll
right.
with it. When hubbies go to the store, whatever, because they don't always know what we're doing. But if
Mhm.
you use whatever hubby had, and then you'll try to get back on, decide what your parameter will be for your family next week.
Mhm.
So we look forward to seeing what you got to say next week.
Yeah. Oh, Tutu loves Minnie. She's happy. Is he use it up? Okay. So you won't have to go to the store.
Mhm.
I love it.
Oh, so now Bathsheba says, I think she likes your idea.
Mhm.
She's tried to do planning digitally, but it wouldn't hurt to get a paper planner. Bathsheba, I ordered a digital planner this year, and it
Mhm.
just dawned on me I've yet to download it. I'm so used to pencil and paper. I don't even know why I
Mhm.
thought I would try a digital planner. And I remember I told Blue Skies that I did that. She said, well, you're used to pencil and paper. You're probably still going to need a pencil and paper planner, which
Mhm.
is what I've been using.
Yeah. And there's something about moving the hand and there's just something a connection that really it works. It works.
Well, it is, and I thought I did buy another pencil and paper planner,
Mhm.
and I just like the way that I was able to just take those little strips and just
Mhm.
put them over on the day that I wanted to use it. And I
Mhm.
said to myself, Leona, this is a great idea. And then
Mhm.
I like the fact that I was able to add new ones because I even added the pot
Mhm.
roast and then the beef and noodles, which we'll talk about
Mhm.
later. But because I had made that in a long time, so that wasn't one of the meals that I thought of. So Lola had to buy vegetables, fruit, and dairy. Those
Okay.
things aren't shelf stable. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So did you find any good deals on those things, Lola? It'd be interesting to know. So Tutu, they went to the store for milk and eggs, which they use daily for her grandson, but that was part of the
Okay.
plan. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Cool.
Okay, so first we
Oh.
make soft butter with stick
Mhm.
butter, adds a little oil to it in a container with a lid, and then let it get to room temperature and then mixes it up. I guess that would save a
Oh.
little bit.
Well, that makes sense because a lot of the tub butters that you get anyway, they say either with olive oil or with,
Mhm.
whatever that they're using.
And then Bathsheba uses coconut milk when making butter chicken.
Mhm.
Excuse me for being so indelicate. All of a sudden, I got this itch in the back of my throat. Hello, Ethel. How are you? So Elle said she's going to make those chicken meals that you made the other day because she's got plenty of chicken in the freezer,
Mhm.
cooked and uncooked, that will cover several days. And yes, you made several really good looking chicken meals. I really liked it. So I thought I need to write down a couple of those on my list as well.
Yeah. And
Okay, I'm going to
they're
come back.
good.
You go ahead and
Okay.
talk. I'm going to come back after Ella and
Oh, well, might want to hit Ursula. She's talking about how she prepared the baked ziti and
oh,
eggplant.
okay.
Oh.
In glass baking dishes and just covers them with saran wrap. So you put them in
Okay.
the fridge with saran wrap for the week, or do you put them in the freezer for later in the week? Just
Mhm.
curious about that.
Okay.
Hmm. And Bathsheba said she would like to invest in a pressure canner so she can make dishes like beef stew and chicken soup to make it shelf stable. I
Hmm.
have a pressure canner. I've used it exactly like I think 3 times. I'm still learning how to use it, and I am so nervous every time.
I am too. I'm afraid of them.
But I'm good about following the directions. I get the
Yeah.
booklet out, and I'll read it, and I'll go to the American Harvest site, and I'll,
Hmm.
watch the videos again, and then I'll like, okay, I'm going to do this. But okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get back on our notes. So one of the things we were talking about was stretching that grocery haul.
Hmm.
And one of the things that we want to do is share a few tips to make those groceries go even farther.
Hmm.
And whether you had a handful of basics or if you did a more complete haul. And one of the things that you can do is turn scraps into soup or broth. And that was one of the things I like to do is I'll take those scraps and make chicken broth. And then I use some of the chicken broth that I have made in making soups and gravy and different things like that. So that was one of the things that I did.
Now I used I pulled out the flour, the yeast. I made an artisan loaf, just the no knead bread,
Mhm.
and I made biscuits for the big guy. I made enough for him for the week,
Mhm.
and so he has a biscuit every morning if he wants it. And I had sausage already that was in the freezer that I had sliced. I usually get it in a roll. I had already sliced it up and
Oh,
pre-cooked it, so then that way he could just put it together, either shoot in the microwave or put it back in the oven, open, add some cheese to it or whatever he wanted, and he had a
biscuit
breakfast
breakfast sandwich.
sandwich. Make his own breakfast biscuit. And I started in a small skillet making like a little egg omelet.
Mhm.
I'm just taking a couple of eggs, a little bit of milk, and threw in some onions, a little bit of green pepper, salt, pepper, and made the whole skillet like one big omelet. Then
Yes.
divided it into fourths and put it in a Ziploc bag. And then that way he could take out a fourth and put
Oh,
it on his breakfast biscuit. And so he had sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits. So that
I
worked out.
hadn't thought
And
about
that was
that.
enough for 4 days.
How did that omelet freeze?
Well, I didn't have to, I
Oh,
didn't
you
freeze
put it in the
it. I just
fridge.
refrigerated it.
Okay.
And it lasted for 4 days. Hmm.
So now, if you guys listening have any other neat little tips like Miss Leona just shared, drop those in the chat because I'm very interested in that. I never thought about that. Now,
Hmm.
if we go out for breakfast and I get the omelet and pancakes or whatever, I
Hmm.
always have omelet and hash browns left over, and I
Hmm.
put it in the fridge and eat it the next day for breakfast. Had not thought about making my own like that.
Hmm.
Love that idea. So if there's other ideas that you guys have, it could be just the thing that somebody else needs to know about.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, my husband's making his own nuts and berries now because I made things easy for him to find. So, and here the big guy is making his own
His
bacon,
own
egg, and
breakfast sandwich.
sausage, egg,
Yeah.
and biscuit sandwiches.
So
Okay.
he likes that.
One of the other things when we look at stretching the grocery haul, and that's kind of reinventing leftovers.
Hmm.
And so that was one of the things that I did. Like I made a pot roast, which I haven't made a pot roast in probably a couple of years.
Hmm.
But I saw one that I thought was a reasonable price at Kroger.
Hmm.
It looked like it was about 3 or 4 pounds. So I thought, okay, I
Hmm.
should be able to get a couple meals out of this.
Hmm.
So I made pot roast on Sunday, and I had 3 bad looking potatoes that needed to be used up. So I got those out and I put them in the microwave and baked them first. And
Hmm.
I had a carton of like a little, like about a maybe 8 or 9 ounce carton of mashed potatoes in the freezer
Hmm.
that I had left over from a dinner. So I just put them
Hmm.
in there because I mean, it'll serve 2 people.
Right.
And then I got those potatoes out of the microwave, mashed them up, and they had like little lumps in them, so they looked like real mashed potatoes. And
Hmm.
mixed all of that together. And then I had enough mashed potatoes to serve 4. So I got that out of the freezer and also out of my little produce basket.
Mhm.
We had the pot roast. I made gravy, and I used some of the
Mhm.
chicken broth that I had made to make the gravy, mashed potatoes, and green beans for dinner. And
Mhm.
then I had to make a point to say, now we're going to have this pot roast on Thursday, so don't get it. Otherwise, like I said, what do you want to have for lunch? Well, I could just eat. I'm like, no, that's the point. Don't get that. And so then later in the week, I made beef and noodles, which is
Mhm.
another dish that I hadn't made in years. Well, because I hadn't
Mhm.
had any beef like that, number one.
Mhm.
But I made beef and noodles, and it was really, really good. I even thought about beef stroganoff because I did have some stuff in
Mhm.
the fridge, and I used to make beef stroganoff all the time,
Mhm.
especially when the kids were home, because it's something that you can stretch. But
Oh,
the standards
yeah.
got so high, I just.
Mhm.
But so I had made the beef and noodles, and then there was enough of the beef and noodles left over to have. Then I went away, and he had the beef and noodles for lunch the next day. He had beef and noodles for dinner on another day. So that beef and noodles lasted for like 4 meals. And that was pretty good. So I was really glad that I was able to stretch it like that. So if you guys
Mhm.
have come up with anything like that, do let us know. Do you want to add anything there, Lee?
I think that's wonderful. I kind of do that with chicken, but Conway is not a leftover person,
Oh.
so I always have to, if I make it, then I'm gonna have to take it away where he doesn't see it, and then bring it back in, and
Mhm.
so and make it look like something else.
Yes.
But when you have beef, you use it
Mhm.
because it's so expensive.
Mhm.
It's just through the roof. I do have some in the freezer, but I haven't pulled it out yet, but I will.
Yeah, and another thing that you can do a lot with for leftovers too is rice. Like you
Mhm.
can make that rice, and
Oh,
use
yeah.
some of it um, with a dish for maybe beef and rice and gravy or something, and then you could have the leftover rice for something else. Make a rice
Mhm,
pudding, or just have rice with salt, pepper, or with butter or
mhm.
whatever, or put it in taco bowls and different things like that. So we want to cook once and eat several times. So, okay, let's see.
Well, one more thing while you're stretching the grocery. I was reading an article the other day, and it was talking about how to some of the things that we absolutely need to have on our pantry shelves.
Hmm.
And the number one thing was rice.
Yes.
And the number two thing were beans, whether they're dried, whether they're canned, whether they're
Hmm.
jarred, whichever, is to have beans. And the third thing was to have canned meat or fish.
Ah,
And
yes.
so as I was going through the pantry, that was something I was looking at to see what I had. And so, as I'm using it up now, I can say this, I have not touched my extended pantry, and I've tried to just use the main pantry for this particular
Hmm.
challenge. And I think the reason for that is because I keep thinking, okay, well, I got it. I developed the extended pantry for a reason.
Hmm.
And that was so that should we need a backup, we'd have the backup. And
Hmm.
so we don't want to, as we're doing this, to deplete so much that if things really do get crazy or short, then we've got food on the pantry shelf. So we have to be also careful with that as we're doing it.
I think I'm glad you brought that up. And I think that's something that one of the people mentioned when we were first kicking off the challenge and
Mhm.
telling people we were going to do this. And her comment was she was concerned about tariffs and grocery prices, and
Mhm.
then using what was on her pantry shelves and then not having what was needed.
Right.
And I think maybe if people want to do a top off for their pantry,
Mm-hmm.
like if they say, okay, what I'm using for the month of May, as far as my day to day cooking, that kind of thing, I'm on this budget. But
Mm-hmm.
if they're concerned that they need to stock up their pantry and their extended pantry, I
Hmm.
think they could set a separate budget for their stock up. And the
Mhm.
stock up would be a challenge that they set for themselves because they'd have to plan it. What do I need to stock up on? And you're gonna laugh at this, or you may say, Denise, shame on you. But May this coming Saturday is the day that the postal workers collect food for
Mhm.
for the hungry.
Mhm.
And so I went ahead and filled my bag while I was thinking about it and set it on the table so my husband could put it out there on
Mhm.
Saturday. And then I listened to something and they were talking about the price of meat and different things like that and tuna. And I had put in one of those big cans of tuna and a can of Keystone beef and then some other stuff. Girl, I went and took that tuna out of that bag. I know people are like, oh no, you didn't
Bad Denise, bad Denise.
beef in there, but I took the tuna out. But my husband's a likes fish. And he had given me a list of things that he had seen that were going to be in short supply. I took that can of tuna out and put something else in the
Mhm.
bag. But I don't know. It's just something to think about. So I'm thinking that if people feel like they need to have a separate budget to stock up their pantry, I
Mhm.
think that's okay. I think that's
Yeah.
separate from what we're doing in trying to use what we have.
Mhm.
And then one of the other people, the comment I got was, well, if you use your pantry staples, fridge, freezer, and pantry for the
Mhm.
month of May, they says you're going to be short. You're going to need to stock up on June. So now are you going to spend more money in June? I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so, but we'll
No.
see.
Well, I know what I did was that I pulled and I have on a spot where I have pulled out those things that were close to their best use dates.
Mhm.
And the newer objects are still newer items are still on the shelf. But
Mhm.
those things I knew I really needed to use, I've taken out. And so that, to be honest with you, trying not to go in the pantry, if at all possible, just use what I've got out. And I went through the refrigerator, of course, with the use it up, and also went out to the freezer and pulled those things forward that needed to be used as soon as possible. And so that helped to kind of focus me on certain things so that I'm really not using up everything,
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
do believe that we're going to have at least a moment when we're going to have to be a little careful about it. May not come until June or July, but we're going to have to be careful about our spending and what we're using, and we may have to use what we have in our kitchens. And
Mhm.
so that was one of the reasons, and I'll probably talk about that more about that next week, because
Okay.
I think we need to really take a serious look at that. Some those items, go back and look at our 20 essential items, and we
Mhm.
may need to revisit those 20 essential items. So that may be something we talk about.
Okay. And since we're talking about that, like I said, I was gone for a couple of days, so my husband had to feed Archie.
Mhm.
So he called me up and said, "Where are the cat treats?" He couldn't find them. So I said, "Okay, go into the extended pantry, look on this shelf, look in this box, and there they are." So when I got home, he's like, "We got a whole lot of cat food in there. There's a whole bunch of cans of cat food." I said, "Well, when I go to the store, I pick up 3 of those little cans.
Mhm.
Them cans are like anywhere from 75 to a
Mhm.
dollar a can. So I just get
Mhm.
3 of the little wet food and just set them
Mhm.
aside. And then I typically will buy the meow mix in the cups, but those
Mhm.
little wet things, I'll just get 3, regardless of what store I go to, Aldi, Kroger,
Mhm.
or even Dollar Tree. I'll get 3
Mhm.
cans of the little cans of wet food. He's like, "We got all kind of cat food in there." I said, "No, we probably have about maybe 15 of those little cans of cat food." I said,
Mhm.
"But when I stock up on things for ourselves,
Mhm.
now that we have a new family member, I stock up on cat food too."
Your adopted cat
Yes,
who
yes,
adopted you.
yes.
Oh,
Bathsheba says she hasn't been to the grocery store but got them delivered. It's
okay.
hard to leave the house when she works from home, but
Mhm.
with the warm weather, it might be easier. Yeah.
But I find that staying out of the store has certainly helped tremendously.
Yeah, I don't
Mhm.
spend as much when I
Mhm.
stay out of the stores. But okay, I wrote a note here that I wanted to talk about. I can't read my own note. Oh, one of the other things that I did that was helpful to me was I've been pulling on the meals that I put in my freezer. So
Mhm.
I had made some chicken gnocchi soup
Mhm.
a couple weeks ago, and there was enough. It feeds six, so I
Mhm.
had put enough for two in the freezer
Mhm.
dish and put that in the freezer right away so that I can have it later. Because if I don't portion it out and put it aside right away, it could get nickel and dimed, and the next thing
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's like, what happened to that soup that was left over? Oh. So I got that out though yesterday for
Mhm.
lunch, and it
Mhm.
was nice. It was just enough for lunch. I served
Mhm.
some fruit with it, and it was good to go. So I've been pulling on the things I've had in the freezer too.
Mhm.
So I've got some pot pie filling in there that
Mhm.
I can take the filling out, thaw it out, put the crust on it, pop it in the oven. So
Mhm.
I think the last time I made a pot pie, the dish that I used, there was enough left to put in another smaller dish. So I just put
Okay.
that in the freezer. So
Mhm.
I've been doing that. So if anybody's been making any kind of freezer meals, let us know about that too. And somebody had talked about those super things one time.
Yes. That was last week. I don't remember
Mhm.
who it was, but they were talking about those little super cubes that you get. And I don't have any here.
I don't
Of
have any of them.
those. I do have some at the other house, but only one small set.
They seem pricey to me, so I just haven't bought any. But I got to
Yeah.
thinking about that though. I'm like,
Mhm.
with those super cubes, you could put the individual portions in, and then once they freeze, what you pop them out and put them in a baggie.
Mhm. Mhm. And let them thaw. But,
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing about portioning it out, I heard, the big guy talking to one of his buddies on the phone, and he told him, he said, he must have asked him what he had for dinner, and he said, "Oh, we had such and such and such and such." He said, "But, I got ready to go back and get some more," and he said, "It was gone." He said, "She had already packed it up and put it in the freezer."
Yep. And
So
he probably wasn't really hungry. Okay.
so gotta do what you gotta do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So, okay, let's talk about some ways that they can stretch their money, their grocery money. And like I said, one of the things that I do is to stretch my grocery bills. First of all, I've started planting some herbs. And I
Mhm,
have a friend in another group that I'm in, and she lives in Florida and she does gardening and all this kind of stuff. But she said she doesn't plant herbs and she doesn't talk about it on her YouTube channel because she said you can't save any money with herbs. She just does vegetables, and she's going to start creating videos for people who want to save money on groceries.
mhm,
And I said to her, I said, I said, if you're cutting it close to the bone, those $2, $3, or $4 on herbs can make a big difference.
mhm,
So it depends upon who your audience is, because like when I make my soups or stews, and I can go
mhm,
out and I can clip some herbs off of a little plant that I bought for maybe $5, and now it's growing and it's going to feed me that herb all summer. I'm gonna save some money. So you buy some herbs in the store and you buy them fresh. And those little packets you can get at Kroger, they're like in the
mhm,
refrigerator case.
mhm.
They're about $3.
Yes.
So let's say you buy 5 of those throughout the year. Well, that's $15. Well, $15
Mhm,
may not mean much to you, but if you're someone that only has 15 or $20 each time they go, that's $1 or $2 off your grocery bill that you can
mhm.
save. So
That's
that's one of
true.
the reasons why I like to plant herbs.
Yeah, and I like the herbs too because eventually you're gonna have a substantial amount of herbs to where you can dry them, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have them all winter. I mean, I've had herbs that I have actually had my thyme, the
Mm-hmm.
oregano, the basil. I have had, and the rosemary, and I have had the dried herbs all throughout the winter, and I still have some of the oregano left. And so that was one planting in the summer that has extended almost to the next summer. So I think that's beneficial.
Yeah, I think so too. And not only that, but it's nice and it's fresh when you can use it fresh, and
Hmm.
then you can use it dried, when
Hmm.
you're ready to do that. And you can make your own broths.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I save my orange peel, my onion peels,
Hmm.
my onion skins, carrot peels, and celery pieces, and even
Hmm.
green peppers and those kind of things. When I chop
Hmm.
off some of the pieces, put it
Hmm.
all in the freezer bag, and then use those to make broth. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, actually, when I cooked greens, I had a friend that gave me greens. And so I saved all of the broth off of the greens and used that to make some vegetable soup. And
definitely.
so if I'm boiling potatoes, I save the potato water, and I use the potato water to be the water for my rolls or bread. So you know how, like, if you're making an artisan loaf and
Hmm.
you have to put in, say, a cup and a half of water, then use potato water. And so I have containers that are in the freezer of potato water. Then if I'm making soup, I can take a container of the potato water and put it in the soup. And it also helps with thickening the soup as well.
Hmm.
So, some of the things that we just kind of take for granted as we're going
Yep.
along the way, we can use. So any liquids that come off of your vegetables, save them, collect them, and when you get ready to make a pot of soup or whatever it is, then you have your own broth to be able to use, and you don't have to buy it.
Now that is not something I thought of, like to save the potato water or
Mhm,
the liquor off the greens. That would
mhm,
make a great soup.
mhm, mhm,
Okay. Now, one thing I have done is when I froze corn last year and I cut
mhm,
the corn off the cob,
mhm,
I saved the corn cobs, and then
mhm,
you're able to put them in a pot of water
mhm,
and boil them and extract the milk, so to speak,
mhm,
from the
mhm.
corn. And now you've got corn broth, and it is delicious in
It
soup.
is. It is. And I know I bought some corn. It's been several weeks ago when I went to the market. That was the best corn. It was so sweet.
Mhm.
And, so as we venture out, and I was thinking, okay, my next $10, well, I'm going to have to go back to the market because I need fresh vegetables.
Mhm.
And so I know corn is going to be on the list. And plus, I can cut it off the cob, freeze it.
Mhm.
It can go in so many different directions.
Okay, so let me just ask you in the audience, and then I'll let you share as well. What's been your go-to meal this week, like, or maybe your biggest surprise success? So, what's been your biggest go-to meal or your biggest surprise success? My biggest surprise success was my pot roast on Sunday, and then beef and noodles on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, what you guys got?
Well, mine was my spaghetti sauce because I didn't make it the way I normally do. I literally pulled what I had some pasta sauce that I happened to find in the freezer in a little container. I had a bottle of tomato sauce that was in the refrigerator, and I had a half a jar of Classico that was in the
Huh?
refrigerator. And I just started putting all that together. And I had another little container in the freezer that had some little diced tomatoes in there, threw those in, and just kind of took those little pieces and put them together and made the sauce, and the
Mhm.
sauce came out great. And so it tells you you just got to dig, because
Yeah.
that's what I had to do. You have to dig and find it. And so I think what it's really saying to me is that I need to be more intentional about where I put things in the freezer
Okay. Me
so that
too.
I can see it,
Yeah.
because things get lost sometimes in the freezer that you
Mhm.
really do want to use. You have intentions of using, but you forget about them.
Exactly. And I have a shelf in my freezer that I like to put, like, if I'm going to freeze bacon or sausage, things for breakfast or
Mhm,
hamburgers, I try to put on
mhm,
this one shelf in the freezer so that my husband can easily find those things. Because he's typically the one
mhm,
that'll like cook a breakfast.
mhm,
And and then on the other shelves, I might have like uh frozen vegetables, and I'll have the meats in one of the little bins and the vegetables in another one, and maybe some scraps or just
mhm.
different little things in another one. But sometimes, you get groceries in and they end up all over the place. So
Yeah.
yeah, getting those little ice cube trays that I showed you has been
Mhm,
very helpful, because I've been
mhm.
able to put like chicken broth cubes in there. And
Okay.
then I had some tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce left over. I put
Mhm,
some of those in one of them, so that,
mhm,
let's say you just needed just a little bit of tomato flavor, you can
mhm,
just pop out a couple of those little
mhm,
tomato cubes, and they'll be great in soups or stews or something like
mhm.
that, or even gravy or something. You just want to add a little bit more flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. So let me see if anybody's given us any new ideas. And in the meantime, what are some of the best store deals that you have found? So you guys let us know, what are some of the best deals at the store that you found, and what proteins did you choose, and how did you choose to use it?
Mm.
So be thinking about that while I pull up. Paula, hello. Hello, Molly. Hazel said she did go to the store once. She needed to make something with all this tuna she had. She spent $5.04, $4 over the budget. She made a tuna casserole and put extra in the freezer. Boom!
Boom.
Yeah, tuna casserole. And now you've got tuna casserole in the freezer for next week. All right.
Mhm.
She set herself a $5 budget. She really was smart.
Wow. I'm impressed.
I'm
I'm
impressed. She's
impressed.
great. So
Mhm.
Jackie says she hasn't been to the store this week, but she's going to go over the weekend. She wants to take advantage of a 3-day sale that has some really good prices. That's the way to do it, Jackie.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the way to do it. So Dolores spent $5 on milk. Girl, you
Mhm.
can probably spend $5 on 1 gallon almost.
I
Or
know. I know. It's terrible.
oh, Hillary says her whole eating may change. The
Oh.
doctor thinks she might have diabetes. And if she does,
Oh.
since she has Crohn's disease, everything
Mhm.
food-wise will change.
That's
Okay, let
true.
us know how things go.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So Ella's gone this weekend for fresh produce. She's down to
Mhm.
her last onion.
We have to have onions.
Yes, we do. Oh, Basua bought a
Mhm.
butter crock to put softened butter stick
Mhm.
in, and it keeps it soft and fresh. I've got one of those little, it's not a butter crock, but it's one of the little things that you can put butter in. I got it at Pier 1 years ago. And do I ever use
Mhm.
it? No. But like if you're having a little fancy dinner, you could put the butter
Mhm.
and sit on the table and they can see the butter through the dome. But
Mhm.
the idea of a butter crock.
Ah.
Yep, Ursula says in the fridge for a week.
All right.
Oh, so Hillary says she's used to the Crohn's diet, but adding diabetes is going to be new. She doesn't know anything about that. I understand that.
Mhm. Yeah, it takes a
Natasha,
little while.
welcome back. Nitty T. She has
Aw.
the softest stick of butter in a butter crock, so they always have spreadable butter. And you know what? When I was a girl, my mom had this little like butter dish that she put
Mhm.
the butter in, and you had a lid
Mhm.
on it. You took the lid off, and you always had softened butter because we just
Mhm.
kept it out on the counter.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Ella does that.
Mhm.
So now Ursula says she doesn't freeze much at all. She likes to steam broccoli after buying
Mhm.
it fresh, and then she leaves it in the fridge, and then she can add it to a salad or saute it in oil and garlic and add it to spaghetti. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, so Ella, her best thing, she had hot dog buns going out of date, split them down the middle,
Ooh.
put some garlic butter on them, and sprinkled a little cheese. And they went with my son to dinner. So, like garlic cheese bread, I like it.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
good.
for Sunday dinner, she said. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
great.
Huh. Cynthia says, him, what's for dinner tonight? Her, leftover incognito. I like that.
I do too.
So
Oh.
Bathsheba says Pinterest has become her best friend when it comes to finding recipes. She found a recipe that was a cross between beef stroganoff and baked ziti. And
Huh.
because it's just her and the hubby, it lasted 3 days.
Okay.
Hmm. A cross between beef stroganoff and baked ziti. Okay,
Okay.
I think I might go
That's
look for
pretty
that.
good.
Oh, leftover chicken became a quesadilla or a burrito. Okay, like that.
Okay.
And then Cynthia says, him, what's for dinner tonight? What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Oh, Lola's husband won't eat rice, beans, or canned meat.
What?
I know some people don't eat rice or they don't eat beans, but usually
Mhm.
they eat one or the two, and then or
Yeah.
canned meat. So that means you got to do all fresh meat, and then I guess a lot of potatoes and other
Mhm.
vegetables,
Mhm.
carrots and sweet
Mhm.
potatoes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cynthia says leftover soup has been referred to as soup to jurors. I
I
like.
love it. I love it.
So Tutu says freezer ground beef turns into chili, rice, fresh tomatoes and sour cream, and homemade cornbread to eat this week. She also made refried
Ooh.
beans for burritos another day. You know what? I've not tried making my own refried beans. I just buy them in the can.
Mhm.
But
They
do they
say
make
they're not
refried
hard.
beans with what, pinto beans?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that shouldn't be hard.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay.
I like chili. Mhm.
Okay. So Ella likes
Okay.
finding things on sale.
Mhm.
So Nitty's been replenishing her pantry from the extended pantry, so she
Hmm.
doesn't have food past the best by date. And I need to look at that with some canned goods because I got out a can of peas the other day, and I had written a 21 on the top of the can,
Mhm.
which let me know that its best by date was like 2021. Now canned
Mhm.
goods go way
Yeah.
past the date
Yeah.
on there, but I was just like, I should have been rotating these forward.
Oh.
Dollar Tree has some microwave steam bags that come in handy
Steambags.
for freezing extra.
Oh.
Microwave steam bags. I don't think I've seen those.
I don't either. Of course, I have to admit I haven't been in there to look, but I will have to check that out next time I'm browsing.
Well, if my Dollar Tree has them, wouldn't you think Kroger would have
Well, you'd think.
microwave steam bag?
Hmm.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
Microwave steam bags.
Okay. Good idea, Hazel.
Mhm. So Tutu says meal plan for Friday is a spinach and corn frittata with
Mm.
a green salad with pears and beets.
Ooh,
That sounds good.
yum. That sounds good.
So Ella saying some idea we had earlier was wonderful. I don't remember now what it was, but good. Oh, olive brine and pickle juice for soup.
Oh,
Who would have thought of that?
huh.
Look at all the pickle juice I poured out because I don't think there's anything else for me to
Yeah.
do with it. So Hazel says definitely her tuna casserole. She hasn't had it in years, but really enjoyed it for one dinner and then lunch the next day and 2 meals in the freezer. Yes.
And those meals are great to have.
Hmm. Oh, speaking of pepper steak. So Bathua said she's taken roast beef and turned it into beef and noodles or pepper steak. I
Mm-hmm.
just learned that Salisbury steak is actually pretty much like hamburger,
Mm-hmm.
or you can make
Mm-hmm.
your own Salisbury steak with hamburger. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try that. We used to have Salisbury steak all the time when I was a girl.
Yeah.
I bought it a few times for my children when I was
Mm-hmm.
cooking for them. But I thought, oh, I haven't had that in a while. But it's a good
Mm-hmm.
family meal.
It is. It is. And it's so filling.
Mhm. Hey, the Jolly Tea
Oh,
Drinker. Hello. Thank you for joining us
glad to
tonight.
see
I
her.
appreciate it. And yes, that tuna casserole that Hazel's talking about sounds
Mm-hmm.
pretty darn good. Oh, Darlene found a tuna casserole recipe with on YouTube channel with sour cream. That has
Mm-hmm.
got to be good. I can see how that could be delicious.
Oh, yeah.
And then Tutu has a dedicated freezer shelf for bags of pre-cut onions,
Mm-hmm.
peppers, partial cans of tomato paste or sauce. In general, it holds the makings for a meal and occasionally a bit of leftovers. That's kind of like
That's a good
you
idea.
do something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, Darlene, you said half the time you can't find anything. I had to do that a couple weekends ago. I just took everything out and I had to go through all the shelves and straighten everything out. And I even had a few
Mm-hmm.
things for freezer burn and I tossed those. So now you know how my husband always says I can't sit down. So he comes downstairs and he sees me with all this stuff pulled out of the freezer. He's like, "Did you plan to do that?"
Well, not exactly, but now that I'm in it, I
But it's like you
gotta
try to
finish.
pull something out, then things start
Mhm.
falling out. I'm like, okay. And then, yeah. Oh, now this is interesting. Nitty puts a note in a plastic sandwich bag and puts that in the freezer, and it helps
Ah.
her to remember what small items that she has in there.
Oh, now that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
And then Ella's going to be making the chicken taco bowl for dinner.
Oh,
Taco bowls are so
good,
good.
good.
And then Darling says we're learning from each other. And I hope we all are. That's the
Mhm.
whole idea. Because, you know, Leona, I've learned so much from you. And I thought I was a pretty experienced cook, but there's so many things that I've learned from you. And then other ladies that are here
Mhm.
that share
Mhm.
their tips with us as well.
Absolutely. We learn from each other. I learn from you, and you learn from me, and we learn from them. And,
Hmm.
that's what the community is all about.
And thank you, Jolly Tea Drinker, for joining us. I appreciate it. She's in my Monday group.
Oh, I love her channel.
Hmm. So Chase says steamed purple kale and 1/4 chicken breast salad. Kale
Oh,
and all the seasonings from the garden. So yeah, right
oh.
now some of the lettuces and things are coming in. So this is a good
Mhm.
time to get that.
Absolutely.
And then Bashu is making hamburger steak, rice, and green peas for
Mhm.
dinner tonight. It's like Salisbury steak, yeah, but much
Mhm.
simpler. No eggs or breadcrumbs, just seasoned meat.
Okay.
And Charlene, you know what? It's okay.
We're just
You're
glad
not
you're here.
late.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here. You can always catch the replay. And then So Limitless is getting good ideas.
Mhm.
Oh, Ella, thank you.
Aw.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
We
that's
appreciate
sweet.
that.
That's sweet. Thank you.
Okay, so we've gotten some comments and shares from our people here, which is what we
Mhm.
wanted to do. So let's just see. We found out what people are making so far. No
Mhm.
one has mentioned whether or not they found any deals at the store. And you know what, though? Most people haven't been to the store, so
They're
they
trying to
don't
stay
know.
away. I
Yeah,
love
so yeah. and they talked about whether or not they stayed on budget. So yeah. All right. So if you're late in the challenge, like just joining us for the challenge, it's not too late. So just to give a refresher, the challenge is we're calling it the $10 May the May $10 grocery haul challenge, where you try to stick to a budget, a parameter that you set for yourself. I gave myself $10 for the month of May, and I'm going to try to just use that for perishables, and everything else should come from my fridge, my pantry, and my 2 freezers.
Mm-hmm.
You can decide what the parameter is for yourself. So, depending upon you and your family size, your health situations, your food challenges, you get to decide if you want to spend 10, 20, 30, or even if it's 75 for the month of May. And then just let us know how you're doing. Leon, what did you say? I don't remember.
I said $10 a week.
Okay.
And that way that took care of fresh vegetables along the way, or milk. I can kind of switch that out if needed, or I don't have to go at all. And so that's what has happened the first week. I have
Okay,
not.
yeah, and I haven't gone this week either, so we'll see what
Mhm.
happens next week. So you guys keep on tracking and let us know what's working for you, and then try something new this week. Maybe you might want to try a bulk food prep, like maybe my son. I was talking to him, and they eat a lot of rice in their family. He says when he makes rice, he'll make a dish with rice maybe on a Monday, but he'll make extra so that he's got leftover rice in the fridge, so that then he's got day old rice that he can make fried rice later in the week.
Mhm.
So consider bulk cooking, something like that, or a dish like, I don't know, chili or
Mhm.
spaghetti or something that you can make a lot of and then portion it out for later in the week.
And even later in the month.
Yes, and later in the month. And then Leona, I'm thinking that even if they've only saved a few dollars so far, so we've been in exactly 7 days. May 1st was
Mhm.
when it started. Today is May 7th. Even if they've only saved a few dollars, it's a few dollars saved. And if
Yeah.
nothing else, they're becoming more aware.
Exactly. And I think that's part of it. Just it's made all of us more aware. And that's us too, because we've had to be very intentional about what we're doing. We
Hmm.
had to develop a method of how we were going to do it. And I don't
Hmm.
know about you. I think by the time we get to May, we will be into this process. It will have become a routine, and
Hmm.
we might be able to continue it all into June. Maybe not as quite as tight, but we'll be able to continue the process. And that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. And I just had the thought that it might be interesting that if you've got your grocery receipts from, say, April, to set those aside and save them. And
Mhm.
just each month as we go forward, just save our grocery receipts for the month and just see how much we spend, how much better we do, or if because of prices, things get a little crazy. But it would
Mhm.
be nice to be able to track that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next week, I'm thinking I'm going to do um, 3 meals that I've made, like either from the fridge, the freezer, the pantry, but 3 meals that I've made trying to use. Oh, and I want to show a cookbook. And you had a cookbook to show
I
too.
have a cookbook that I've been using. I went back to the Tightwad Gazette, and
Oh.
and it is a hoot. It's a hoot to read, but I'm telling you, this lady takes our challenge to a whole new level. And when it says tightwad, she is just that. She doesn't spend anything that she doesn't have to, and it's amazing. I mean, she makes her dressings, she makes her breads, she uses everything. She's like us. She saves her jars. She I've looked at some of the things. She saves her bread and then makes croutons with it, and tries to season those up just for, some of those. When I think it was Hayes Ella who was talking about how she had used the buns
Mm-hmm.
and made the garlic buns, and but the nice thing about this book is that not only does she talk about food, but she even takes it within the home and the family. And so it's a great read for those, and it came at a great time
Mhm.
because we're at a point where we all might have to become the tightwads.
Do you
And
have that in your description box?
I have not put it in there yet, but I will.
Okay,
I
put
know
that
I
in the
have it
description box.
over on the storefront, but it's a great read, and it's a quick read
Mhm.
because it's so funny, and she is very lighthearted, but she's serious, and she says she's really been a tightwad ever since she turned 15. And I don't know I can't remember what happened in her household, but to make her decide she really needed to be careful with how she spent and what
Mhm.
she spent and what, how she did things. So anyway, it's great for us. And if you just want something light to read, but yet and still it's light with learning. And I like to learn. That's something we all
Okay.
have an opportunity to learn.
Well, I got this book. I haven't met this person, but she's in one of the groups that I'm in,
Hmm.
and it is called the Essential Pantry Cookbook,
Mhm, mhm,
and by Jen Chapin. And it's just like 80 easy recipes and 100 creative variations to make the most of on-hand staples. So I think I'll be looking through this week and seeing what I could come up with from that perspective. And when I look at the recipes, I mean, most of them are just pretty simple, basic recipes.
mhm,
But I thought,
mhm,
okay, but she's kind of pulled it all together for us in one place.
mhm.
So I'll definitely be looking for something with that. So, so
Oh,
Limitless loves the Tightwad Gazette. She's got
mhm,
that book.
mhm,
Darlene says hubby is you likes taking leftovers for lunch, so that helps so
mhm,
far. No trips to the store, and she doesn't see the need for at least another week.
mhm.
But Charlene also says she's fighting breast cancer, so she
Mm,
must be careful of her ingredients. Okay,
okay.
Charlene, God's grace and blessings on you of
Yes,
healing,
yes,
but
yes.
yes, you do have to be careful with your eating. Oh, thank you. Look what she said.
Oh, that is so sweet. I am so glad you're here with us, and we will definitely keep you in our prayers and our thoughts.
Definitely. And then Ella says her daughter wanted a banana pudding the other day. So she had some leftover bread. So she got leftover bread pudding. Yeah.
All right, all right. I've never made bread pudding.
Oh, Ella, you ordered a ball electric water bath. I hope you use
Ah,
my
ah.
link. Yes. Well, great. You'll love it. And I hope you use my Amazon link. Oh, Charlene says she doesn't buy store-bought bread anymore. She's got a
Mhm.
recipe that just makes it quick and easy. And Leona, do you buy store-bought bread at all?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
I was gonna say, because you make bread just like that.
All the
Whenever
time.
I think about wanting to make bread, I'm like, oh, it's gonna take so long. You got to plan ahead. You got to,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna try.
Yeah, and I mean, you can do what I call my daily bread, and
Mhm.
you just put it together, put it over to the side, let it do its thing. The next day, get up, bake it, and it's ready to go, ready to go, and it looks so pretty.
And then Charlene Hazel is sending prayers up as well. So yes, we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hazel's using this is a different Hazel. She
Uh-huh.
used ground turkey for taco bowls today.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so like I said, next week I'm going to try to do 3 recipes that are from the pantry. They won't be from my $10 haul since I haven't been out to haul anything in that regard. And then let us know what kind of meals you want us to focus on. You guys want us to focus on filling breakfast, easy dinners, or whatever. Just let us know. And I think I've covered.
I think you just about covered everything.
Yeah, so then here's our challenge for you guys for the coming week. Stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with it. Just keep on doing what you're doing. If you felt really successful, keep on pressing on. And if you feel like you just missed the bar just a little bit, then just try 1% or 2% better to see if you
Mm-hmm.
can get to where you feel like you need to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because $10 may not work for you. Um, like I said, the $10 a month didn't work for me, so I did $10 a week,
Mhm.
and which is a drastic amount less than
Mhm.
what I had been spending. And so, whatever it is that works for you, make it work. And if you fall off the wagon a little bit, then the next week you get back on it. That's
Mhm.
what it's all about.
Exactly. And if you've got pictures of something you made you want to send
Yeah.
to us, just email them to us, and
Hmm.
then we can put it up on our community tab, and then we can give you credit for it if you email us something.
Yes, I have some that I'm going to be putting up just in a few days or so.
Okay. So, Leona, do you have anything else?
I tell you what, we have covered a lot of information tonight, and we have certainly learned a lot tonight. I've got notes over here.
Mhm.
I think we have learned almost as much
Oh,
as
yeah.
we thought we were bringing to them. But
Mhm.
this has been a great opportunity to be able to share and to bring it all together. We're all in here together, getting through it.
And you know what? That's why I like our community. I think we have a great community because, number one, it is very supportive.
Hmm.
So, like, everyone was really ready to rally around Charlene and kind of
Hmm.
send up
Hmm.
prayers for her, or
Yeah.
just to send out good vibes or think about her as she goes through her healthcare challenge.
Hmm.
So, and then we can learn so much from each other. It's like we have a no judgment zone, and I just love it.
I do too. I do too. And while we have everybody still here before anyone goes to sleep, happy Mother's
Oh,
Day.
yeah. Happy Mother's Day.
Yay!
Happy Mother's Day.
I'm celebrating starting as of Friday, and I'm going to celebrate for the weekend.
Yep. No cooking on Mother's Day.
Nope, nope, nope,
No cooking on Mother's Day. They
no,
got to take us out to dinner.
absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I don't have anything else. So, Leona, unless you do, I'll let you take us out.
You know what? To all of you, I pray that all of you have an absolutely blessed weekend, whether you are the mother or in some cases, you may be entertaining the mother for the weekend.
Mhm.
And I certainly hope that you have a great time. I hope you'll continue this challenge because the challenge is not just for today. It
Mhm.
is not just for the month of May. It is to challenge us to better use the resources that we have. So, God bless you all and happy Mother's
All right.
Day.
Good
We'll see
night.
you soon.
Bye.